Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make these really cute and easy crochet pumpkins just in time for fall season. So I hope you all enjoy this video and let's get into it. Okay, so for this project I'm going to be using, for the large pumpkin pillow, the Second Chance 100% recycled fibre yarn from James C. Brett. This is double knit and this is in the shade Rust, if you were wondering, and I've got about 100 grams of this, which is perfectly enough for the pillow that I'm going to make. And then for the smaller projects that I'm going to make, I've just got this smaller ball of yarn, and this is just like a rusty orange double knit. It's not quite the same shade as this one, but I want to use this colour for my smaller projects. And then for the pumpkin stalk, I'm going to be using this khaki green colour. You can use any double knit green yarn you want. And then I'm going to be using a 2.75mm hook for this project. A 2.5 or 3mm hook is also fine. I just want my stitches to be really nice and tight because I'm going to be using a yarn over slip stitch, which if you have a looser tension can cause your work to kind of have holes in. A 4mm might also be fine as well. I'm also going to be using some scissors, a stitch marker, and a sewing needle. You're also going to be needing some sort of stuffing, so I'm going to be using yarn scraps, but you can use actual polyester toy stuffing if you prefer, or any just kind of fibre that you can stuff your work with. I'm going to just use yarn scraps, and you'll need enough to stuff like a large pillow, and if you're just making the smaller projects then you'll probably only need maybe 25 to 50 grams of the stuffing. So the pattern is the exact same for all of these projects. You just want to adjust kind of the length and the width of your panel that you're going to make. So I'm just going to simply make a slip knot, and this is for the pumpkin base. So I'm going to make a slip knot, and then I'm just going to chain up the height that I want the pumpkin to be. Now bear in mind that even if you chain up a certain amount, this amount is going to shrink once we join everything together. So just chain up the amount that you want the height of the pumpkin to be. So I've just made a chain of 54. So to start the first row, and this is going to be the same for every single row of this pumpkin base, we're going to be doing the yarn over slip stitch. It's very, very similar to a half double crochet. So I'm going to start off by yarning over, so the bump's behind the chain, and I'm going into that second back bump and I'm inserting my hook into that back bump. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through, and you'll have 3 loops on the hook, and you're going to pull that first top loop through these bottom 2 loops as if it's like a single crochet or a slip stitch, like that. So it's kind of like a hybrid between a slip stitch and a half double crochet. So into the next back bump I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into that next back bump, yarn over and pull through, 3 loops on the hook, and I'm going to pull that top loop through these bottom 2 loops, like that. So that is literally all you have to do for this stitch, and I'm literally just going to complete that all the way until I get to the end of the row. Okay, so I've just done all of my yarn over slip stitches, and now I'm going to just start my next row. So I'm going to turn the work around, and I'm going to just literally do my yarn over slip stitches into each stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into that first stitch, yarn over and pull through, and then pull the first loop through those 2 loops at the bottom. And I'm literally just going to do that across the top V stitches all the way across, and I'm just going to repeat row 2 until I'm happy with the width of my panel, so how wide the pumpkin is going to be. So just do as many rows as you want for each pumpkin, and I will let you know for each size pumpkin that I'm going to make how many rows I ended up doing and how much I chained up, so that you know the exact sizes. Okay, so I've just finished my panel. I've done 110 rows of the yarn over slip stitch, and then you just want to flip your panel over onto the wrong side, so that is going to be the back of the work. And I just chained one and fastened off, and you want to leave a long tail for sewing. So once you have flipped your work onto the back, you want to kind of fold it in to the center like this, so folding the edges together, and we're going to simply just sew down this edge so that we have this sort of tube. So I'm going to take the sewing needle and place it on the tail of where I've just chained one and fastened off, and I'm going to basically be joining this seam together. So I'm simply just going to line up each section, and I'm going to go into the opposite stitch, and I'm just grabbing the inside loop like that, and then I'm grabbing the inside loop of this stitch, so I'm kind of going back on myself like this. I'm going to pull through, and then I'm going to go into the next stitch or on the inside, so the inside of the next stitch and the inside of the opposite stitch, and push my needle through and then pull through. Then I'm going to grab the inside loop of the next stitch and the inside loop of the stitch opposite and go back and pull through. So I'm just basically snaking the yarn back and forth all the way up until the seams have joined, and then when you flip your work back onto the opposite side, it is nice and neat. So I'm just going to complete this now all the way across, and then when I get to the end, I'm just going to weave this end in and cut the yarn. Okay, so I've just finished attaching the seam together, and then you're going to want to keep your work on the inside out. You want to cut a long string, and I've double stranded it, and then I've just tied a knot at one end, and this is just going to keep everything nice and secure when we make the drawstring. We're basically going to be snaking the yarn back and forth all around the top edge of this part of the pumpkin. So I'm going to just start by inserting my needle at the top, and I'm going through the front to the back and pulling through. And then I'm going to skip a few rows, and I'm going to bring the yarn from the back to the front, pull through, and then I'm going to skip a few rows again and then bring the yarn from the front to the back and pull through. And that is simply all I'm going to do to create that drawstring. So I'm just weaving the yarn back and forth and making sure that I space it out equally. So once you reach the start of where we attach the yarn, you then just want to gently draw the yarn in. So you just want to pull on the strand, and you'll see that the work will draw in. It won't draw in fully, so just draw it in and then sew the rest of the hole closed. So just go back and forth and cross it over until the hole is nice and secure. Okay, so I've sewn the rest of the pumpkin and I just fastened off, and now I'm going to bring the work onto the right side out, and then I'm just going to stuff the majority of the pumpkin until it is as I want it, and then I'm going to show you how to make the stalk, because we kind of want to make the stalk first and then join the yarn up at the top and then add the stalk on top. So for the stalk, I'm going to take my green colour and I'm going to make a slip knot, and I'm going to chain 4. Once you have your chain 4, you'll want to slip stitch into the 4th chain from the hook, and this is going to create a ring that we're going to crochet into. If you prefer to do the magic ring, then you can do that as well. Once you have your ring, you're going to want to make 12 single crochets into the ring. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this is for the size that I want to make. However, if you want to do less single crochets, your stalk won't be as wide, and you can also customize how many rounds that you do to personalize how long you want the stalk to be as well. So once you have your 12 single crochets, or whatever amount you did, you want to just pull tightly on the tail to close the ring more, and if it doesn't fully close, you can keep crocheting the tail into the work for the following round, keep going, pulling the tail until the hole does close. Then want to place your stitch marker in that very last single crochet that you made, and then you simply just want to make 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around, and repeat that round for as long as you want the stalk to be. So I'm simply just going to be making 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So I've just finished the stalk, and I ended up doing 9 rows of single crochet, and then I just fastened off, leaving a long tail. And then for the spiral part, you just want to take your green yarn and make a slip knot, and you can place the slip knot anywhere on the base of the work. But I'm just going to go into kind of the next stitch of the round, insert my hook, and I'm going to pull the slip knot through any of these stitches. So I'm going to be making a chain that is going to be the length of the spiral that I want. If you want a longer spiral, you can do more chains. If you want a shorter spiral, you can do less chains. Okay, so I've done a chain of 24, and I'm going to be working in the back bumps of each chain, and for each back bump I'm going to be making 2 single crochets into each stitch. If you don't want to do single crochets, if you want to do double crochets or half double crochets, you can do that. You just need to make sure that you are doing 2 stitches for every back bump, because this is going to create the spiral curl. So I'm going to insert my hook into that second back bump from the hook, and I'm going to make 2 single crochets. And then I'm just simply making 2 single crochets into each back bump all the way across. So once you have completed your very last 2 single crochets in the back loop, you're just going to want to insert your hook into where we attach the slip knot, so that same stitch, and you just want to make a slip stitch into that stitch, like that. And that's just going to join everything together, and then you just want to chain 1 and fasten off. And then you can just tuck the threads onto the inside of the stalk. And then I'm going to be joining up the top of the pumpkin in the same way that I did at the bottom, and then once that is all joined in like this, I'm just going to sew the stalk to the top of the pumpkin. I'm not going to be sewing down the spiral part because I just want it to kind of hang freely. So yeah, that's pretty much all that's left to do, just sewing the top part together using that same snaky zigzag kind of stitch with doubled up thread, and then closing the top kind of by going back and forth, and then sewing the stalk on top. So I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'm going to show you the final result. is what the final result is looking like. I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know how your pumpkins came out, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye guys.